the Talladega National Forest. It was here 21 years ago that the France family decided to construct what will become one of the world's fastest superspeedways, complete with 33-degree banking, 3-story high turns. The sun is peeking in and out of the clouds this afternoon. There's been a threat of rain, but even a few showers couldn't dampen the spirits of this crowd of over 30,000 on hand this afternoon. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, and again, welcome to Talladega. Another great race in store for you today. 500 kilometers for the ARCA cars, the Automobile Racing Club of America cars from the Midwest. Over 312 miles. Should be an exciting show. Joining me today in the booth will be our two-time NASCAR champion and analyst here for ESPN, Ned Jarrett. And Ned, this 41-car field is filled with a lot of drivers from varying backgrounds with varying degrees of race experience.
Yes, you have Charlie Glutzback on the pole, who has been racing for more than 25 years. Tracy Leslie, a former champion of this division, on the outside pole, but behind them are some drivers who don't have no experience on a super speedway. Many of these drivers got what experience they have on the dirt tracks and the short tracks through the Midwest, and now they're trying to make a go at it at speeds of 190 miles an hour.
Well, you certainly can make this the jumping off point for your career. A lot of people have in the past. In fact, one man who made this certainly a great couple of years in ARCA competition is a two-time ARCA champion. It went on to win the Winston Cup title just 4 years after leaving this racing division. We're talking about our pit reporter, Benny Parsons.
You're exactly right, Jerry. That is the credentials I took to L.G. DeWitt and said, can I drive your Winston Cup race car? I'm a two-time ARCA champion. Thank goodness that was enough. You know, normally on Saturday, I don't do hat of the week. But this Saturday I felt like was a very special Saturday because there was a young man who was trying to use ARCA as a springboard into Winston Cup racing, had a lot of success in ARCA. He won here in 86 and 87, this race back-to-back. He was the all-time ARCA race winner on the super speedways. I'm talking about Grant Adcock. So today I'm going to be wearing the hat, Adcock Motorsports. So to his father Herb back in Chattanooga, his family, and his pit crew, this race is for Grant Adcock. Jerry?
And, of course, Benny Parsons, Grant Adcock, tragically lost his life in an accident in a Winston Cup race last November at Atlanta Raceway. Let's take a look at some of the other drivers who have grown up, if you will, in the ARCA ranks. We call them ARCA educated. Of course, yourself, along with Joe Ruttman, Mark Martin, Tim Richmond, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip, who came up to the ranks and won ARCA at Atlanta, Davey Allison, a former Rookie of the Year on the ranks, Rick Wilson, Mickey Gibbs, and Ernie Irvin, who has a great Winston Cup ride coming off a superb run last November at Atlanta in ARCA competition. As we get ready for the start of this ARCA 500-kilometer event, let's take a look at the starting lineup in the Sears diehard starting grid. 41 cars, a stellar field on hand here for all the action, 312 miles this afternoon at Talladega Superspeedway. We'll be back for the start of the race after this.
Same battery that has started now.
The world's fastest superspeedway, 2.66 miles in length. Today's ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series event, stop number 4 here in the 21 race, $1.3 million tour. Talladega Superspeedway. Ned, a lot of young drivers in the field, but some veterans here that have had some pretty good starts in the first part of the season for ARCA.
Jimmy Horton in the car number 80, starting in 6th place, Jerry, has won the only 2 super speedway races they've run so far this year at Daytona and Atlanta, so watch for him to come up through the pack. Of course, Charlie Glutzback starting on the pole there in a fast Chevrolet, and I believe that car is out of the Richard Childress shops originally.
Indeed it is, and that car will be crew chief today by Cecil Gordon, who works in the Childress shops and had his own operation for many, many years. Pontiac safety car now leading the field slowly down. They look to be moving very slowly, but they're going about 60 miles an hour on the banking here up in the north end of the speedway. Safety car makes the turn, hard left-hand turn, comes down pit road. 41 cars. the Automobile Racing Club of America cars getting ready to go to green as Harold Kinder now holds them down here as they head to turn 1.
Got off to a very, very slow start, Jerry. I don't know. He's in the middle of that pack of cars that are running 3 abreast going into turn 1. I don't know if you missed a gear or what happened. There he is. You see the black car on the inside of the racetrack. Now it looks like he's getting up to speed, but boy, he got off to a very, very slow start. Tracy Leslie out front.
See the field now scattering some 3 and 4 wide. The track actually almost 5 lanes wide at the backstretch, 4 racing lanes, and they can run 3 abreast pretty easily.
Jerry, not only did Charlie Glocksback get off to a slow start, but it also missed Jim Purvis, who started 3rd up.
Field now up to full song, over 193 miles per hour coming down. Tracy Leslie picking up what's left off a year ago in the car number 72, the bright orange and white Goodwill car. Leslie in an Oldsmobile won both events here in ARCA competition a year ago.
Billy Thomas right on his back bumper. Thomas driving a Chevrolet. He's from Phoenix City, Alabama.
No surprise at all to see Billy Thomas running second. In fact, the car that Billy Thomas is driving here is a loaner car. They can loan the car, borrow the car from James Finch, who owns the cars, normally driven by Jeff Purvis.
You can see the car we mentioned, Jimmy Horton running in 3rd place, the car number 80. That's a Pontiac. He runs a Ford in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. The races he runs there, but runs a Pontiac in ARCA. And it's been good to him this year.
Jimmy Horton, a 33-year-old driver from Hamilton, New Jersey. That's the Miles Concrete sponsored Pontiac.
And now, Jerry, pardon me, we see Charlie Glocksback beginning to pick up as we watch the car number 80, and right behind them, you see the black car running in 5th place. Charlie Glocksback is back up to speed now, running just behind the car number 14 of Farrell Harris, another veteran of this series.
Farrell Harris in the car number 14. Now you see on the inside of your screen as Glocksback now makes a move up high. The 14 is the car that Glocksback drove at Daytona in the season opener of the ARCA 200 and finished 4th in. Farrell Harris had an intestinal fluid, couldn't start the race. Glocksback, who was there without a ride, climbed in that car number 14 and drove the car, had a shot at winning it, and the car spun in front of him with a few laps to go, and he ended up finishing 4th. Glocksback is here in a different car, and he's trying to reel in the same car he drove at Daytona. Cars in the lead draft. Tracy Leslie is the leader. Billy Thomas running in 2nd spot. Car number 80. Jimmy Horton is 3rd. And now Glocksback looking to make a move on the inside of Farrell Harris as they head for turn 3.
He drived on the outside the other time around, and it didn't work, Jerry, so he moved on the inside this time and does move up to 4th place. And let's go to the pits for further comment on Charlie Glocksback and Benny Parsons.
Ned, NASCAR is always concerned about someone jumping the pole sitter. It's illegal to do that. So when Charlie Glocksback had problems, they asked Harold Kinder, the flagman, what happened? Harold reporting back to the tower and the NASCAR and the ARCA officials, Charlie Glocksback missed the jump. That's why he fell back. He just couldn't get his 3rd gear right.
Okay, so he's got his work cut out for him to get back up there, but it looks like that car will do it. Here's Jimmy Horton trying to move on the inside. Billy Thomas to take over 2nd place, Jerry.
Jimmy Horton now makes the move inside. He will open a big window in that wall of wind in the back straightaway at over 190 miles an hour. And now right behind him will come Glocksback and the veteran Farrell Harris. Those 3 cars will try to move beneath Billy Thomas in turn 3.
See you later, Billy. Boy, he moves right on by. There was not anything that Billy Thomas could do about that. Once those 2 cars hooked up together and went around him, he was fortunate to get back in line and not lose more than 2 positions.
Showing the way here in the early laps of the ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series 500-kilometer event at Talladega Superspeedway. Leslie holding off the 2-time winner this year, and Jimmy Horton, who runs in 2nd spot. Over 30,000 fans on hand for this exciting event. Stay tuned. We'll be back. The laps here in the 500-kilometer ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series event. pole sitter Charlie Glotzbach, who had problems early on, has fallen back and now has climbed his way back into third spot. That is Glotzbach in the black and gold Google car number 28 there, the Chevrolet Lumina. They don't call him Charging Charlie for nothing. He makes a move and takes a look inside of the Jimmy Horton car number 80. Horton is in second spot in the Pontiac, and the Oldsmobile, the red car on the left of your screen, is our leader, Tracy Leslie. Let's check in the pits with Benny Parsons. Benny?
Jerry Punch, you know, last year all we heard about was the fireworks, Hoosier and Goodyear. Well, all of a sudden we don't hear about that in Winston Cup racing. Where did Hoosier go? Right here on Tracy Leslie's car. He is running Hoosiers today and now leading the Permatex 500K in Talladega.
Quite a mix of tire manufacturers here. Of course, Goodyear exclusively now in the NASCAR ranks on the Superspeedway, but still Hoosier involved heavily in ARCA competition. Hoosier, of course, out of Indiana, and that's where most of the ARCA short track events are run up in the Indiana area. Of course, ARCA based in Toledo, Ohio, their headquarters.
So you have an Oldsmobile out front, a Pontiac second, and a Chevrolet in third position. Billy Thomas running fourth, also in a Chevrolet.
Battle back here between the car number 5 and 21. That's Clay Young in the car number 5.
And car number 21, of course, is Bobby Bowser, son of former ARCA champion Jack Bowser.
Car number 58, that's the efforts of Kevin Gundicker. Well, they've been shown in 15th spot. They move underneath Gundicker and go right on by.
Drove right on by. Didn't even wave when he went by.
Weren't very courteous at all. Car number 5 is Clay Young. Grew up in the IMSA ranks. In fact, is the 1989 IMSA American Challenge Series champion. Runs primarily stock body cars on the road courses.
Yeah, Jerry, he had a very strong run in the ARCA race of Atlanta back in March. In fact, he led a good portion of that race. So he is getting used to the high banks. Here's a change for the lead, maybe. Jimmy Horton trying to take over the lead from Tracy Leslie, and Charlie Glotzbach trying to follow him through.
Jimmy Horton moved to the bottom of the racetrack and slides up, and Glotzbach now could be hung out to dry. We'll see how strong his Chevrolet is. Glotzbach in the black car on the inside of the racetrack. He will fall back in line and catch some draft from Tracy Leslie.
He just didn't quite have enough momentum to go on by with Jimmy Horton when he passed Leslie. Glotzbach, I don't know if he's driving that car high in the banking, Jerry, and trying to find a good place to run draft, or if the car is just moving up there with him, but he's going higher than the others in the turn.
Tracy Leslie now pulling down to the inside. Will try to get some clean air and make a shot and move by Horton. Just doesn't quite have any help. Glotzbach hangs him out to dry and takes the high side in turn 3.
Yeah, you don't want to move too far out from the car in front of you. It'll definitely slow you down. Tracy Leslie slowed a little bit when he pulled down there. That gave Glotzbach the opportunity to move up on the outside.
Cars running door to door. Giving some of the cars back in the pack a chance to catch them. Back up front. That's the battle for second spot. Red car of Tracy Leslie and Glotzbach on the outside. And these two cars running side to side are giving Billy Thomas a chance to catch him, man.
Yes, and he's taking advantage of it too as Glotzbach continues to go high. And Benny, is that the place to be running this early in the race?
Ned, you know, the high groove, that's the old man's groove. Because after you hit these retaining walls at Talladega a few times, you want to be as close to that wall as you can possibly be. The low side of the racetrack, where it's a long ways from that retaining wall, that's for the young guys who haven't hit that wall too many times. I want to be on the outside. It's a lot easier to hit the wall from 5 feet than 50 feet.
The impact's a lot easier. Yeah, you're right about that.
Average speed early on here, a blistering pace at 189.623 miles per hour. The field being towed by Jimmy Horton, young man from Hamilton, New Jersey, driving a Pontiac. Horton, 14 track championships in 11 seasons, the Northeast Dirt modified driver. He's had a great beginning in 1990 in the ARCA competition. Car number 3 there, Carl Miscotton the third. An impressive run for him, and back up front now, Glotzbach now making a move inside to take the lead from Jimmy Horton. That's Glotzbach on the bottom of that car, really holding the bottom of the racetrack now, Ned.
Yeah, I think can drive it just about wherever he wants to go. And Billy Thomas is doing a good job of hanging in there, grabbing Glatzback, but he didn't help push him on by Jimmy Horton that time, so Glatzback has to come back to line.
That second pack, the green car, just come into your picture. Now they have all reeled in the lead machines. That, of course, the car number 74 of Kenny Reagan, a veteran driver of ARCA ranks and Winston Cup out of Unadilla, Georgia. In the Jasper Engines and Transmission Sport. There's Reagan and Carl Miscotton the third. Miscotton now pulls his car to the inside. That's the car number 3. The navy blue and bright yellow numeral car number 3. And Mark Gibson, who's had a great run at the beginning of the year. Mark Gibson, the 1986 ARCA Rookie of the Year, finished second at Daytona and Atlanta, and runs well here at Talladega as he moves inside of the Ken Reagan car.
And the yellow car down on the inside is Jeff Purvis, a dirt track champion who started in third place and got kicked back there, or when Glatzback missed his gear, he just simply couldn't get going because he was right on his bumper, so he dropped way back in the pack, but now working his way back up through it. This is the former Morgan McClure car that Ernie Irvin now drives for in Winston Cup competition. They bought that car from the Morgan McClure team, so it is a good automobile.
Fans may remember that this is the same car that Rick Wilson drove for the Kodak team 2 years ago in Daytona when he was just edged out by Bill Elliott 18 inches in that Pepsi 400 event in 1988. We are early on here in the ARCA 500-kilometer event at Talladega Superspeedway. Showing the way, as he has at Atlanta and Daytona, Jimmy Horton up front for the 9-car race. Stay tuned. We'll be back. For Dale McDowell, who was a rookie last year in ARCA competition, had a great 5th place finish in Atlanta, has had only 2 starts here at Talladega, and will exit early here today. Back up front, Jimmy Horton in the car number 80. That's a Pontiac being chased by a Chevrolet Lumina, the black car of Charlie Glatzback. Good run for Billy Thomas in the car number 22. Now, Billy Thomas, a 37-year-old driver from nearby Phoenix City, Alabama. He's a promoter of a racetrack there, Dan. That's something you can relate to, having promoted Hickory Speedway for many, many years. He promotes East Alabama Motor Speedway, a 3/8-mile dirt track, and quite a transition from a 3/8-mile dirt track to 190-plus-mile-an-hour speed here at Talladega.
Well, as we said at the top of the show, many of these drivers did get their experience, Jerry, on short dirt tracks, either in the southeast or the Midwest. And Billy Thomas is one of those guys, and I think that he perhaps finds as big a challenge in promoting racing as he does in driving a race car.
Talking about the sportsmanship among these drivers, you see Glatzback at 28, Billy Thomas in the 3rd place car, the white car, car number 22. Thomas's Speedway car was destroyed in Daytona during the ARCA 200. He did not have another Speedway car to run here at Talladega, and therefore got a loaner car.
Jerry, here's a battle of car number 34, Bob Breback, and the car number 85 of Bobby Gearhart, and the car number 90, which is being driven by 99. It is Donnie Moran.
That's a battle for 10th, 11th, and 12th spot. Breback, a veteran, almost won the points championship a year ago. He's the car number 34. Bobby Gearhart is in the car number 85. Good run for Gearhart, coming back from an injury a year ago. And the car number 99, that is one of the Chrysler LeBarons in the field, Donnie Moran, 27-year-old former dirt track ace from Frazeysburg, Ohio. And yes, that's a Chrysler LeBaron. Moran had a great qualifying effort here. The engine prepared by Joey Arrington. Joey Arrington, the son of former Winston Cup driver Buddy Arrington, who has built both the Chrysler motors in the field today. One is in the car number 99, the other one, of course, in the Jerry Churchill car. Back up front, car number 80, still showing the way. That is Jimmy Horton in his Miles Concrete Pontiac. It's a family affair for Horton. His car, the Pontiac he has here, and the Ford he runs in Winston Cup competition is owned by his father-in-law, George Smith. Horton, making no bones about it, he would like to be able to use ARCA, as we said earlier, as a springboard in the Winston Cup. Doesn't have a lot of money to run Winston Cup competition, but certainly, as has shown at Daytona and Atlanta early in the year, has the talent to run well on the speedways.
Been a little surprising once Glatzback caught him, Jerry, that he has only made a couple of attempts to pass Horton. Maybe he doesn't have the muscle to do so, or maybe he's just content to run there for a while.
Well, we've been green all the way thus far. Let's check in with Benny Parsons.
Jerry Punch, after the Daytona race, when all the horrendous crashes the ARCA drivers had in that race, you know, there's a lot of cry. Don't let all the ARCA drivers run at Talladega, Daytona, Atlanta, the bigger racetracks. But we've been 20 laps so far, 21 laps under the green. So far, no one has benefited. These guys can do it. Let them race.
Tough break now for Ken Reagan. Will be an unscheduled stop for Reagan. He brings that Jasper Engines Ford down pit road, and his brother Marvin Reagan, the crew chief and the crew, will go to work on that car. Let's check in with Benny Parsons.
Evidently, the engine has turned off. There is no sound coming from the engine. They've dived in the car trying to put in a new ignition box. They're looking at the car, the coil under the hood. The fellow's still in the car. I think they've broken a rotor or something like that. They've raised the distributor cap, and the problem seems to be in the distributor. We'll try to find out and report back to you, Jerry.
Okay, thank you, Benny Parsons. Tough break for Ken Reagan. They are really tightening up the battle up front. Still Jimmy Horton showing the way, but a couple of guys who've been making the moves back there. Farrell Harris, the fourth car in your screen there, is Horton showing the way. Then Glotz back in second spot. Those two cars only about a car length apart. The white car, Billy Thomas, and the car really doing a little moving back there is the red car. As the fourth car in your screen, that is Farrell Harris. Now, Farrell Harris had not driven on a super speedway since 1983, and basically on his retirement then until coming back at Daytona, and then that stomach flu kept him out of that race. So basically his first time back on a super speedway.
But he's doing a great job. He hasn't lost his touch, Jerry. There are 8 cars in the lead draft. That's Farrell Harris there in the car number 14. You can see at the end of the lead draft back there, the yellow car of Jeff Purvis. So those 8 cars all very evenly matched. Here's the car number 72 of Tracy Leslie making a move down to the inside, trying to take over the 5th position. Carl Scotland does so.
Leslie trying to also give a tow to Mark Gibson in the car number 59. And of course, that is Jeff Purvis in the car number 15 there. Purvis now on the inside of Carl Scott. A couple of young drivers. Now, Scott is only 20 years old. He's in the car number 3. Showing a lot of maturity for a young man of age 20 here on the high banks.
Yeah, he did a good job of holding his line there. When the car passed him and Tracy Leslie went by, he stayed in line, and Jeff Purvis tried to follow. It was the car number 59 of Mark Gibson, and Jeff took the wrong line. And Miss Cotton did right. As a result, he kept the position.
And those cars trying to reel in the lead draft. That is Mark Gibson in the 59, Miss Cotton in the car number 3, and Jeff Purvis in the 15. In the early laps here at Talladega, Alabama, Jimmy Horton picking up where he left off at Daytona in Atlanta. He's leading the charge here. Stay tuned. We'll be back. 25 laps are complete. 117 will comprise this 500-kilometer ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series event. It has been Jimmy Horton in the early laps here, but Charlie Glotzback will not let him get away. Those two cars have hooked up and begun to pull away somewhat from the third-place car of Billy Thomas.
Ken Reagan is back in the race. We saw earlier with the hood up on the car. Benny, what was wrong?
I'm done with Gary Cruz, the crew chief. What was wrong with Ken's car?
Oh, Benny, we've had something wrong with him since we've been here. We burned an ignition box up yesterday, the last practice. Well, we done it again. We really don't know what it is. You know yourself, there's 2 boxes in those cars. We replaced a bad one yesterday, put a new one in. We switched back to the new one. We're going again.
I don't know. Ignition problems down for Ken Reagan, man.
And he went 2 laps down, Benny, during that green flag pit stop.
There's Ken Reagan back on track and back up front. Glotzback now really giving Horton all he can handle. Glotzback's car is still moving up the racetrack in the corners.
Yes, it is, Jerry, especially in turns 1 and 2. But those 2 have been able to pull away from Billy Thomas, who is running 3rd. And look at Glotzback trying to make a move as they come up on traffic. Who's going to come out ahead 4 deep?
Glotzback taking advantage of heavy traffic in front of Horton. Horton a little soft pedaling there, and probably wisely on Jimmy Horton's part. Those 2 cars that we talked about, some of the relevant experience in the drivers in today's race. Horton backed off a little bit. Glotzback did not back off. He moved to the inside and said, hey, we'll see you, Jimmy. And now charging Charlie Glotzback, showing the way here at Talladega.
Looked like he was just looking for an opportunity, Jerry, and when it came up, he took advantage of it.
Jimmy Horton has a lot of strength in his Pontiac, and we'll see exactly how strong that Pontiac is. He pulls back to within 2 car lengths, and now, as the Glotzback car moves up on the banking once again, it looks like Horton may have the shot, but Glotzback is just so strong on the straightaway.
Yes, he is, and this might be a good scenario for them to pull away even further from the 3rd and 4th place cars. With Glotzback car going high in the turns, it gives for a better drafting situation for the 2nd place car, so that might enable them to pick up speed even a little more.
Cecil Gordon, along with some of the Richard Childers crew, are in the pits now trying to handle the Charlie Glotzback effort. And certainly their expertise paying off a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if they do make some adjustments on that car. They get a chance to put the car into the pit, maybe under a yellow flag and change some tires. Glotzback has a lot of strength in the straightaways, but his car drifting up in the corners. They head for turn 1.
Well, now that he's out, well, there he goes up. I started to say that he was staying down, but he went into the turn low, but then it did just drift up for him as he's starting off the turn 2.
Battles back in the pack here. The car number 5, Clay Young. That is the 12th spot. Clay is currently being shown in 12th position. And the car number 19 is Chris Gerke. That's the 12th, 13th, and 14th place cars. Gerke and the young Boucher.
They're running about a half a lap behind the leader, Charlie Glotzback. And also on the back of that battle there is Bob Keselowski. There's Charlie Glotzback coming in on heavy traffic. Well, it wasn't Charlie Glotzback. That's Keselowski. The car looks like that.
Bob Keselowski's car is painted very similar to Charlie Glotzback. Glotzback's car is 28. Keselowski is 29. I like him. They thought that was Glotzback. I said, boy, he does have a rocket ship if he's caught those guys this early on.
Yeah, he picked up that half a lap there for that 2 laps, but it is Bob Keselowski. So mark one up for me there.
Keselowski, 1989 series champion for ARCA, set a single season record for earnings in ARCA, over $97,000 last year in 17 races. And of course, won that series championship down to the wire in the last race of the year, just edging past Bob Breback. Now just trying to edge past and battle the backstretch. That is the car number 19, Chris Gerke.
Bobby Boucher in the car number 21, driving the Ford, as his dad did for many years. As we mentioned, Jack Bowser, a former champion of this division, and he also ran some Western Cup races back towards the tail end of my career in the mid-60s.
Bobby Boucher, 23 years of age, drove his first race of any kind, not a speedway or super speedway, but of any kind, in July of 1988. So he certainly has come a long way in less than 2 years.
Those fellas are doing a good job of drafting. Clay Young leading in the car number 5.
Clay Young, a veteran driver. We mentioned about his IMSA roots, having run so many times on the road courses of IMSA, but as you said, Ned, he had a whale of a run last November in Atlanta, finished 2nd in Atlanta in the season finale last year.
That's an unusual situation. That's a Pontiac he's driving, but it's sponsored by Hardage Chevrolet.
Figure that one out.
Yeah.
Back up front, Charlie Glotzback now holding off Jimmy Horton. Glotzback, no stranger to running well here. In fact, in 1969, Dan, when this track was first built, the first time they qualified the NASCAR cars here, who sat on the pole?
Charlie Glotzback?
You got it.
All right.
Charge and Charlie sat on the pole in the first ever race run here. The Francis built this track some 20 years ago. And here's Farrell Harris' car. Let's go into pits and Benny Parsons.
Jerry Punch, believe it or not, they are going to change drivers. Steve Moore is standing by. Farrell Harris has taken the belts off. There is some confusion now. I really don't know if he's going to change drivers. Yes, Farrell Harris is jumping out of the car. Steve Moore standing by. All right, let's see what's going on here. Farrell, you okay?
He didn't run out of gas, but I was getting tired. I'm too old, I guess.
How old are you?
you. Pointed at him. That's about my age. Get back in that car, boy. Here's the guy's a little bit give out. Steve Moore's going to drive.
Obviously, I think the heat has a lot to do with it. You see him panting and trying to get his breath there. He's been out of a race car now for about 7 years, and it's got to be pretty tough. Over 100 degrees in these cars today. It's a beautiful day for racing at Talladega. Glotzback still showing the way.
Jerry, I would say the fact that he's been out of the race car for a while has more to do with it than his age.
They're still trying to get Steve Moore. Now, Steve Moore, a young man who ran for a few years in Winston Cup, did pretty well, had his own operation, and as a lot of young talented drivers found out, he just didn't have enough sponsorship and money to make it work. He's been around here trying to get a ride. Maybe he's got a pretty good car there. He's losing some laps now in the pits with the driver change.
Well, it did lose a lot of time. Now, he said that the car ran out of gas, so apparently others will be making pit stops here pretty shortly.
As Steve Moore now moves back off of pit road, we show up front, charging Charlie Glotzback, leading away here at Talladega Superspeedway. Early on here in this ARCA Permatex Supercar Series event. Stay tuned, we'll be back after this. Speedway here for the ARCA Permatex Supercar Series, stop number 4 on the 21 race, $1.3 million ARCA Tour. And Charging Charlie Glotzback still towing along about 2 car lengths in front of Jimmy Horton, but now Billy Thomas starting to reel those front 2 cars in.
Yes, he has run them down, Jerry. He had dropped back at least a couple of seconds behind those cars, but now has picked them back up, and he's back in the lead draft.
And then Tracy Leslie back in 4th spot. He is leading a draft of cars that are trying to reel in the front threesome. You see the front 3 cars there. There's Glotzback and Horton. About 3 or 4 car lengths back, and there comes the next group down the back straightaway.
Led by Tracy Leslie and Mark Gibson in car number 59, Jeff Purvis in car number 15, and yes, they are gaining on the front runners. And Charlie Glotzback apparently coming into the pits. We suspected that green flag pit stops were coming up, so Charlie Glotzback is coming in. Let's go down to the pit road and Benny Parsons.
Jerry points, Cecil Gordon has the sign. Chocolate Myers down here with a gas can on his shoulder. They're waiting for Charlie Glotzback. And here he comes off the 4th corner. He had to slow down a little bit as Lee Raymond leads. Charlie brings it in, brings the car to a stop. The entire GM Goodrich crew is there making the pit stop on this automobile. As Jerry mentioned, this is the car that came from the Richard Childress shop. Chalky gets the 1 can, he throws it back in the pit, so 1 can. And away he goes, 13.5, 2 right side tires. Great stop by the GM Goodrich crew.
Indeed, it was a great stop. He came in awfully slow, and you got to wonder if he was just about out of fuel.
Yeah, I think that he was very close to out of fuel, if not out, completely out here.
We would be expecting to see the other lead cars make an entry on the pit road very, very soon. Glotzback's car had to be just about gasping for the last few drops of fuel. There's the Clay Young, Bobby Boucher battle.
And Jerry, you don't want to stay out there too long. And right here's the car number 34 into the pits. That, of course, is driven by Bob Breback. But if you happen to run out of gas after you pass that pit entrance, going into turn 1, it's a long way back around if you have to coast it.
Veteran Bob Breback's crew now getting his car serviced. There are no tire rules here in ARCA. You can change 2 or 4. Most of them opting obviously under green to change only 2 tires and add the fuel in the car. Bob Breback getting his Race Blades Buick back to speed toward turn 1. Back up front, Jimmy Horton now slowing. Looks like he will make an entry as his car really slowing now, getting ready to bring his car down pit road. We expect to see most of the lead cars, almost everyone, make an entry into the pits. And here comes the Miles Concrete Pontiac down pit road. Let's go to Benny Parsons.
You're right, Jerry. He's coming in. Jerry has the board. Stopping the car. Horton pulls over. Stops the car just right. Some of the Tide crews, Sandy Jones on the right front. Fuel going in the car, right side tire change. The right front's coming off the car. Looks real good. 1 can of fuel is in it. 2nd can is in it. And away it goes. 13.7, but Jerry, he did not get the car full. It may play on down the road, but the car is not full of fuel.
Well, sometimes if you make those quicker stops and you don't really get that can in right away, that can really cost you then.
Yeah, when you change tires in a little over 13 seconds, it's almost impossible to get 2 full cans of gas in that quick. And so I guess maybe they're just going to gamble on the fact there might be a caution come out before the next pit stop.
Lead 2 cars, Billy Thomas in the white car, and that is Tracy Leslie, the defending champion of this 500-kilometer event at Talladega. Leslie, the 1988 Series champion. Great run for Billy Thomas. He said that's a loaner car. That his crew went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and picked up that car earlier in the week. Here's the pit stop for Mark Gibson, former Rookie of the Year, running very, very well early on in the point standings here at Talladega.
Now, they're not changing tires, Jerry, or they changing left side tires, maybe. No, I think they just put gas in it, checked all the tires, and send him on his way.
Mark Gibson and the Abu Garcia Fishing Rods sponsored Pontiac.
And here's the leader, car number 72. Tracy Leslie headed into the pits, and Billy Thomas coming ahead of him.
Everyone will be making an entry on the pit road now. Those that have not pitted will need to do so now and not take a chance of running out of fuel. Billy Thomas, the white car number 22. You see up pit road now. A lot of cars making an entry. Very, very slow. It looks like they're going very slow, but they're actually still going about 50 miles an hour, Ned.
Yes, or maybe even more than that when they enter pit road. Of course, they want to get them slowed down when they come off of the banking and hit the flat pit road, because if they don't, they could be in trouble.
This will be a race here. Leslie's crew on the left of your screen, Billy Thomas on the right, and they are adding fuel in Thomas's car.
And fuel only to Leslie's car.
Making a chassis adjustment there. One crew member in the car in the white car, and fuel in Leslie's car. Now, they get pretty good tire wear here. It's not getting too hard on tires. They're trying to have a problem now with Billy Thomas's car. The crew member trying to get back, and they did not have time to make an adjustment. They pull out. Looks like the Chris Gerke car going by. That's the car number 19.
Boy, you can see that black mark that Billy Thomas was leaving down pit road as he was spinning the tires. That cost him a little bit of time, and you can see how much Tracy Leslie has beat him out of the pit. And it primarily is because Billy Thomas was spinning the wheels.
Trouble, that is Bob Breback has spun his Buick down off the banking.
He just came out of the pits not long ago.
And a couple other cars spin. Bobby Boucher tags the wall just coming out of turn 2 and loops the car around in traffic, now trying to get slow. The young Boucher, that's his car that sits in the middle of the back straightaway. Heavy contact.
Yes, he has hit the wall hard. Here's Bobby Breback. His car still moving down on the inside of the track.
Lap number 43, and Bob Breback has tagged the wall. He split around with the most heavily damaged car is this one right here, the car number 21, 23-year-old Bobby Boucher has tagged the wall coming out of turn 2. The field now under caution here at Talladega Superspeedway for the spin of Bob Breback and Bobby Boucher out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. We are early on here under caution at Talladega. We're back with more racing after this. Into the first caution flag of the afternoon. Here's the top 10. After a lot of guys have come in and made pit stops, Leslie Thomas, Carl Muscotton, the youngster, Jimmy Horton, and the veteran Charlie Glotzback in 5th spot. 6 through 10, Jeff Purvis, Donnie Moran, Mark Gibson, Bob Keselowski, defending champion, and Mike Oliver, good run for the youngster, in 10th position. The reason for the caution flag, Ned, a lot of trouble out of turn 2.
Yes, Bob Breback in the race glazed Buick number 34 spins as he comes out of turn 2, Jerry. He doesn't hit the wall, but watch coming into the picture. There's Bobby Boucher. Dips down to the inside to miss him and hits the grass and hits the wall on the outside head on.
Ned, he hit that wall a ton in his Ford, and the young 23-year-old Boucher was taken to the infield care center, the J.L. Hardwick Care Center, just moments ago to be checked out. Let's check in down there with Benny Parsons.
Jerry Punch, Bobby's okay. The fellas you got to worry about is the dads down here, you know, because Jack Bowser is father. I'm also a father. Ned Jarrett's father, who has guys out there racing. So we're the guys you got a problem with. Jack, anxious moments, wasn't it?
Sure was, Benny.
Jack Bowser, folks, was a 3-time ARCA champion, and if there's probably one guy responsible for my 2 championships, it was this guy, Jack Bowser. But you thought you were out of the racing business, but now the son comes into the racing.
Well, we was out for a while, and then he decided that's what they want to do, so we give her a shot, Benny.
Okay, Bobby, you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm all right, Benny.
They said that Breback spun, you had nowhere to go, is that right?
Well, I had it missed and got down, you know, in the grass a little bit, and I just couldn't help it, and it got away from me. I did everything I could do.
The car's hurt pretty bad?
Yeah, it's hurt pretty bad.
Okay, better luck next time.
Okay, thanks, Benny.
Looked like he might have gotten those left side tires just on the edge of the grassy apron. That was enough to get the car skittering sideways, and he tagged the wall. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing here at Talladega. Again, Tracy Leslie, who won both the Super Speedway events here a year ago, showing the way in his Oldsmobile. Leslie, Detroit Gaskets, bumper-to-bumper sponsored Oldsmobile. And so he'll lead him down the green flag. Making way on lap number 54, just 5 laps shy of the halfway point here at Talladega.
And to go into turn 1, 3 abreast, Jerry. The car's back in the pack.
passing. That is the Bobby Gerhardt car. And we're showing 12 cars on the lead lap. And only some of the lap cars up front trying to get a lap back. Now Billy Thomas trying to make a move inside. That's Billy Thomas in the white car number 22 inside of Gerhardt. But the car really making a charge is Jimmy Horton. He's on the bottom of the racetrack, car number 80, who led a number of laps early on.
They, of course, are running second and third. Car number 22. Thomas in second place. In third place is the car number 80, Jimmy Horton. And here comes the black Chevrolet of Charlie Glotzback, also making a charge up to the track.
Charlie Glotzback, who had led early on, passed Horton and had made his way to the front by virtue of a couple of pit stops and some tire changing down in the pits. Now driving his way back toward the front. He is being shown in the 4th position. The red car, Tracy Leslie is the leader. Then comes Thomas in the white car. Horton is third, and Glotzback is 4th as Jimmy Horton now moves to the inside of Billy Thomas in turn 3 and will take the second spot away. Let's check in the pits. A number of these guys did not change tires in the first green flag stop, but some of them did under the yellow. Benny Parsons.
Jerry Punch, you remember I reported that Tracy Leslie was running the Hoosier tires? Well, also Billy Thompson is running the Hoosier tires. Both those guys made pit stops with fuel only, no tire change. The guys with the Goodyear changed some tires. The Hoosier did not change.
Getting some excellent tire wear. Some of the drivers who are running the Hoosier tires here in ARCA competition, and Ned Charlie Glotzback is on the move.
Made a great move up on the outside of Billy Thomas as they came off of turn 2, Jerry, and took over the 3rd position. Now, Tracy Leslie going high, and Jimmy Horton takes the lead, and Charlie Glotzback following right through in 2nd place.
I think Charlie Glotzback forced Jimmy Horton's hand a little bit. Horton could see Glotzback really making a move and said, if I don't go past Leslie, I'm going to get past and end up in 3rd spot. So Horton now showing the way in his Pontiac is the Chevrolet, the black and gold Louisville car number 28 of Charlie Glotzback in 2nd. Back to the red Oldsmobile of Leslie in 3rd spot. And Billy Thomas also in a Chevrolet. He is 4th.
And in 5th place is Carl Muscott, hanging on to the draft, doing a great job in the car number 3.
Can't say enough about Muscott, and the youngster just turned 20 years of age, running in the top 5 here at Talladega, over 190 miles per hour. Second pack back there, that is the Jeff Purvis car number 15, along with Mark Gibson and Bobby Gerhardt, 15-59. Purvis is 15-59 is Gibson, and the 85 is Gerhardt. That's the second pack of traffic, some about 10 or 12 car lengths back now.
Of course, Purvis running in 6th place, the car number 55 of 59 of Gibson running in 7th position. You can see how far they are behind as we watch the leaders through the crowd.
Question, Ed, can the second pack, if they would stay single file, could they catch the lead pack again possibly?
It's my opinion, Jerry, as long as these lead cars stay in single file, that they will not be able to. But if they start racing up front, getting side by side, yes, they could.
How far back is the draft effective in Talladega with the speed of over 190 miles per hour? How soon can you start to sniff a little air off another car?
Well, you can feel it to some degree if you're 100 or so yards behind the other cars, but it's not enough to really say that you picked up the draft. And here's a change. Charlie Glotzback has picked up the draft.
Well, apparently Cecil Gordon, you saw the pit stop and heard Benny Parsons calling a minute ago. The Childress crew working on the Glotzback car. They have gotten that car dialed in, and the second pack is loving this. These cars running door to door will slow them down and give possibly Purvis and company, Gibson, etc., a chance to reel them in.
Harry, when they get side by side like they're running there right now, it'll cost them a good half a second a lap, or maybe even more. And yes, that would let that second pack catch up with them if they stay single file themselves.
Glotzback now pulling back in single file, passing the Robidart car, the car number 9. That's the machine of Bernie Robidart from nearby Goodwater, Alabama, one of the lap cars.
So I don't think they stayed side by side long enough this one to help that second group that much, Jerry. They're back in single file now. In fact, the front 3 beginning to pull away just a little bit from Billy Thomas, who is running in the 4th position.
Charging Charlie Glotzback. No one really knows exactly how old he is. He won't tell anybody how old he is. A lot of people say that he's been around a long time. Someone said, well, maybe he's about 45 or 50. I think he's got driving suits older than that yet.
He has been around racing for a long, long time. And I don't know. I would guess the age to be somewhere in the lower 50s, maybe. Benny, what do you think?
You know, I asked Charlie Glotzback that very question the other day. I said, how old are you, Charlie? He said 39. I said, no, wait a minute. you know, we may get a seniors tour going down here, and you got to be 52. Do you qualify? He said, I do. So there's some money in it. Who knows how old he is?
I don't care how old he is, Benny Parsons. He can still wheel one of these machines. He's doing a whale of a job down in the turn. And, of course, Richard Childress and the crew watching him. This is the car that they have helped repair here. Cecil Gordon doing a great job. His Glotzback now pulling the inside a little bit, Ned.
Okay, he did that. He left that maroon-looking car, and he pulled down to break the draft of the cars up behind him, but Jimmy Horton didn't fall.
And again to the inside, but Horton takes the high line in turn 1.
Now, Glotzback's car appears to be staying lower on the racetrack than it did before he made the pit stop, so apparently they might have made some adjustments on that car.
Sergeant Charlie Glotzback has not won an ARCA event since the early 1970s. He's run second here. He finished second in Pocono twice in the last couple of years running here. In this race last year, he finished sixth. But he is showing the way right now in his Chevrolet Luma. Sergeant Charlie Glotzback leads the pack here. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this. Alabama, Sergeant Charlie Glotzback, pretty doggone good super speedway veterans. That's the car number 80 of Jimmy Horton and the orange car number 72 of series champion Tracy Leslie. Mentioned before that Sergeant Charlie Glotzback drove the car for Farrell Harris at Daytona. Now, after that drive, it impressed so many people, he was asked to drive a different car. Floyd Garrett, who had a car there for Tommy Riggins, asked Glotzback to drive his car for 5 or 6 races this year. And it is Floyd Garrett who is now standing by with our Benny Parsons.
Floyd, I want to know, did you ask Charlie how old he was?
No, Benny, I was scared to ask him. I was going to let you do that for me.
Well, I asked him, and he wouldn't quite fess up. He said 39. You have any idea?
Oh, probably about 41, maybe.
At least 41.
Plus a little bit more.
He seems to be doing a good job in your car.
Yes, he is. He's doing great, Benny, and I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Benny, I think that he meant that he'd been racing 39 years, surely.
Take a look back to the second pack there. They are trying to reel in the leaders now. Carl Miscotton, who was a part of that first pack, has lost the draft and now in jeopardy of being passed by Jeff Purvis. Miscotton, the 20-year-old driver in the car number 3. That is that navy blue and yellow numeral car number 3. The 15 car, bright orange and yellow number 15. That is Purvis. Then comes Gibson's car, Mark Gibson. And now Purvis and Gibson will try to make a move inside of Carl Miscotton. That will be to take over the 5th spot.
Now, that's not going to help them catch the leaders. The 3 front cars have pulled away as they battle for that 4th position. Billy Thomas was running 4th, but he has dropped back in the pack. You can see how far they are behind. There's Charlie Glotzback and
Jimmy Horton there along with Tracy Leslie. You see that second pack now. They are really in a little bit, Ned. And Purvis's car really running well.
Yes, it is running very strong. And that racing side by side there won't help them, though, Jerry. You can see how much Purvis was able to pull away when Gibson and Miscotton got side by side. Oh, look how close those 2 white cars are running.
That's Billy Thomas in the car number 22. In the that is the Donnie Moran car.
He almost lost that car. He did a good job of putting it back in.
Donnie Moran did a whale of a job. The 27-year-old driver who's driving the Chrysler LeBaron.
Now, Jeff Purvis has gotten completely out of the picture of this pack of cars once they got to racing themselves. Here are the leaders. Charlie Glotzback, boy, they're staying close together.
Purvis now trying to reel it in. He'll have a tough time by himself with no car to draft with out there, even though his car is very, very potent. And there's the second pack of cars. Purvis, the 5th place car, actually the 4th place car. The 5th place car is Mark Gibson. The car's on your screen. Gibson is left. He's the 5th place car. Then Miscotton is 6th. Back up front, Charlie Glotzback, Chevrolet Lumina, black and gold numeral. And now you see Purvis coming into your screen here in the tri-oval area. That's the 4th place car, and then 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Gibson, Miscotton in 5th and 6th spot. Show you the interval now coming up out of turn 2. There are the leaders now coming off the 33-degree bank into turn 2. Then go down the back straightaway, and just coming into the screen is Purvis. Jeff Purvis, a 31-year-old short track ace. One car smoking down toward turn 1. He has tagged the wall. That is Kevin Gundicker. That's driving. He is driving the car owned by by Kenny Schrader. He apparently has tagged the wall, some pretty serious damage in the right front of that Chevrolet Monte Carlo. He's getting the car down on the apron there in turn 2, Dan.
And that's the right thing to do, is to get it down out of the racing groove, because he could put some debris on the track, and once he's out of the groove, it won't matter.
No yellow flag, still under green flag racing here at Talladega. 500-kilometer event, 312 miles, 117 laps. We are past the halfway point now. Charging Charlie Glotzback, somewhere in the vicinity of 55 years of age, showing that he can still wheel it with the best of them. Leading a couple of young drivers, up-and-coming rising stars here in the ARCA ranks. Jimmy Horton, veteran of the Northeastern dirt tracks, and of course, Mount Clemens, Michigan ace, Tracy Leslie. Top 10 drivers here in the ARCA 500-kilometer event. Here as we go to break, 66 laps complete. Here, next 500-kilometer event. Charging Charlie Glotzback showing the way, being chased by Jimmy Horton, Tracy Leslie, Jeff Purvis, Mark Gibson. We have 67 of 117 laps completed. Today's Speed World coverage of this 500-kilometer ARCA event brought to you by Kodacolor Gold Film. Show your true colors. By Suzuki, motorcycles and ATVs. Suzuki, the ride you've been waiting for. And by Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Charlie Glotzback leading car number 80, the Pontiac of Jimmy Horton. Horton has won the first 2 events on the speedways here in ARCA competition for 1990. He backed into a win, as he himself admits at Daytona, because 3 cars, including Glotzback and Leslie, had trouble late at Daytona. And now Horton moves to the inside almost effortlessly, man, to take the lead.
Made a good move going into the turn, dipped down on the inside of Glotzback and moved right around him, Jerry. He make that look easy. That Pontiac is strong again today.
Pontiac, Chevrolet, and Oldsmobile, the front 3 cars.
Now, those 3 cars have pulled away by about 6 or 7 seconds from the car number 15 that is running in 4th place. And you can see the yellow car of Jeff Purvis running 4th. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th. Mark Gibson running in 5th place, the car in the middle there. And the 6th place car is Carl Biscotti.
We mentioned that Jeff Purvis would not be able to last very long without a drafting partner. That's indeed the case, as Mark Gibson has reeled him in. Back up front, it's Horton, Glotzback, and Leslie. Those 3 cars contend the line for 4 miles. Take a look at some of the cars who have fallen out of the race here in this ARCA 500K. Jerry Huffman, Buddy Geiger, Graham Taylor, last year's Rookie of the Year, along with Jonathan Fontana. David Simcoe, former pole sitter here, and the youngster Bobby Bowser, who tagged the wall out of turn 2. Rusty Johnson, Farrell Header's veteran driver, and Buddy Geiger.
These 3 cars, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, running very close together. That pack of 3 cars is running 4th, 5th, and 6th, are about 8 seconds behind this lead group.
There was a lot of concern in the Tracy Leslie camp a couple of days ago. They had the engine they qualified so well in here outside the front row. They found some bearing parts in the Oberg filter, one of the filters that cleans the oil inside the motor. They sent the engine back over to Vince Sorrento, the Trick Racing engine developer in Georgia. That's the name of this company, Trick Racing Engines. That's pretty sneaky. And they rebuilt the motor and brought it back and put it in the car today for the race. And they weren't really sure how well the car would run, but it's performing very well here this afternoon.
Glotzback has made no attempt to repass Horton, and you can see the 2nd group of cars, 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. That's Jeff Purvis in the yellow car number 15, the Phoenix Construction Company Oldsmobile. Mark Gibson, car number 59, and Carl Biscott, car number 3, running in 6th position.
That's 4th, 5th, and 6th. We move on back and show you the cars. We widen out a little bit, show you the cars back behind them. A pretty tight draft of 5 cars there moving by.
Car number 22, and the
99 of Donnie Moran, the white car, one of the Chrysler products. That's Billy Thomas there. The 85 car is Bobby Gerhardt. He is being shown as a lap down.
He, of course, is the red car in the center of those 2 white cars.
The 22 cars, a 7th place car. That, of course, is Billy Thomas. 85 Gerhardt is being shown a lap down in 10th. Leaders now encountering some traffic on the racetrack. Be very, very careful here. Remember, we mentioned there's a lot of inexperienced drivers who are here in ARCA to get some experience and be able to make their way into the other ranks of stock car competition. They move by. That was the car of Cecil Unis, car number 31, the Blackshear, Georgia driver in his Oldsmobile. Off-time competitor in the short tracks around Georgia and South Carolina.
Now, Jerry, when they went by that traffic, it separated the front runners just a little bit. You can see Tracy Leslie, car number 72, lost a couple of car lengths, but he should be able to pick that back up very quickly. Charlie Glotzback got the car lengths so that he lost back very quickly. Leslie still a couple or 3 car lengths behind the Glotzback as they come up on some more traffic.
The front 3 cars there just exiting the banking will move back, and you'll be able to see the second pack coming in, the 4th place car coming into the picture, which should be the Mark Gibson machine. Quite an interval back there. They are still losing ground to Lee Threeson. There is Gibson, Purvis, and Scott. That is the 4th, 5th, and 6th place cars. I wonder what they would consider doing here. They're getting set to race tire wear with the Hoosier tires, and some of the guys have come in and made tire changes. Let's check in and see what the strategy might be with our pit reporter, Benny Parsons.
Jerry Punch, I talked to the Hoosier representatives, and they said their drivers, the Jimmy Horton automobile and Tracy Leslie, was not planning on changing tires the rest of the way. We still got a little bit over 100 miles. If they feel like the tire wear is fantastic, they're not going to change tires. I talked to Cecil Gordon, who's the crew chief on Charlie Glotzback's car. They're running the Goodyear tires. I asked Cecil, he said he would probably change tires. So, hey, if he has to change tires, the other fellows don't. It might make a position as Purvis goes by Mark Gibson.
Well, indeed it could. And Jeff Purvis now is moved by the cars of Gibson and Scott. Ned, this track notoriously is not too hard at all on tires anyway.
No, it's not, Jerry. One thing is the tires don't heat up as much here as on a shorter track because they have so much straightaway for the tires to cool. And of course, the high banking, there's so much G-force and downforce on the tires, you don't get as much centrifugal force that strips the rubber off and, of course, heats the tires up. So, no, tire problems are normally not a big situation on this track.
Of course, there are only 9 cars in the lead lap, and if there were to be a pit stop or a yellow flag, they'll be able to close up for a double file restart, which wouldn't really hurt any of the fellows who did come in and change tires.
No, and they'll have pit stops coming up here before too long. If we don't have a caution, they'll be making green flags.
500 kilometers of racing action, ARCA style, here at Talladega Superspeedway. The top 10 as we go to break here, showing the way, of course, is Jimmy Horton, the fellow who won at Daytona and Atlanta and would like to win here. Quaker say the big Q is one tough motor oil.
We're always talking about how important rear spoilers are to speed. This is a rear spoiler on Charlie Glotzback's Chevrolet Lumina. It's 30 degrees. NASCAR says that's the minimum they can run, 30 degrees. He qualified just over 194 miles per hour. This is a rear spoiler off Bill Elliott's Ford Thunderbird. NASCAR says they can run them at 10 degrees. Bill Elliott qualified just over 199 miles per hour. Let me show you the difference when we put them up to the car. Folks, that is 5 miles per hour.
Just a mere 20 degrees in the spoiler makes a major difference here as far as catching that wind and slowing these cars down there.
Yes, it does, and caution is out on the racetrack, Jerry.
Harold Kinder waving the yellow flag here for the second time this afternoon in the 500-kilometer ARCA event.
And we understand this debris on the racetrack, and this will be a break for most of the drivers because they had green flag pit stops coming up here very shortly, so this will give them an opportunity to come in and make those stops under caution.
Lead car should make an entry on the pit road. Debris, we are being told, up in turn 4. The ARCA and NASCAR people working together here because the duplication of shows here on Saturday and Sunday have spotted some debris up out of turn 4, and the car is now slowing, getting ready to make their entry on the pit road. Now, Glotzback would certainly welcome this caution to be able to get in and make the tire change, top off these cars for their final run to the checkered flag. 78 laps are complete. 117 laps comprise this 500-kilometer event.
And I think it'll be close, Jerry, whether they can make it the rest of the way on gas. They'll have about 37 or 38 laps. That'll be pretty close. They might be able to make it.
Could be awfully close. Might see a lot more drafting than we might have seen early on. And here is Horton. Lotsback stays on the racetrack, but Horton and Leslie make an entry on the pit road. Let's go to Benny Parsons.
Jimmy Horton's coming down. They've got the board out. He brings the car into the pits. They just put in fuel only. You're exactly right. Bob Newton was correct. They're only going to put fuel in the car. No tires. 110. They're still waiting on that 110. It's in. They're putting the second can of fuel in. Unbelievable. No tires as Jimmy Horton drives away.
You gotta wonder, Dad, if possibly Cecil Gordon Childers crew feels that they may not be able to make it unless they run a few more laps under the yellow flag. Let's check in down in the Charlie Glotzback pits with Benny Parsons.
Cecil, why didn't you pit?
Well, he thought the pit road was closed, but they don't do it in ARCA. So we made a little mistake there. Maybe we'll be okay.
But you got to start at the back of the pack now, right?
I know that.
He knows that. He's not very happy.
The car you see sitting backwards on pit road is Clay Young, and unfortunately Clay Young had a problem just moments ago, Ned, as he came down pit road.
Yes, he did. While Benny Parsons was doing that interview, you heard me say, ooh, as he comes into the pits, and let's watch him now. He tries to pull into the pits. He locked the brakes and went head-on right into the pit wall. Fortunately, everyone got out of the way before he hit the wall.
His car sitting backwards in the pits, the car number 5 of Clay Young, the veteran from IMSA competition, has spun the car around from Smyrna, Georgia. We are under caution here at Talladega Superspeedway, the second time of the afternoon, for debris up in turn 4. Lots of racing action left. Stay tuned after this. Superspeedway, we are still under the second caution flag of the afternoon for debris up in turn 4, but the action has really gotten fast and furious in the pits here just moments ago, Ned.
Yes, Clay Young was coming into the pits in car number 5, and you can see he locked the brakes and hit the pit wall head on. We thought that everyone had gotten out of the way, Jerry, but apparently there has been an injury.
One of his crew members trying to scamper out of the way as Young's Pontiac tagged the wall. Let's check in down there with Benny Parsons.
Jerry, I guess it's the worst possible scenario in the world because the crewman that Clay Young hit was his son, Chris. And there is some injury to the leg. They did put a neck brace on, but that, I think, was purely precautionary. I don't think there's any neck injury at all, but there is a pretty bad-looking fracture on the right leg. And again, it's Clay's son, so obviously we're not going to be able to talk to him. I don't want to talk to him at this point, Jerry.
Well, they have moved Clay Young's son onto the stretcher there and put him in the ambulance with an air splint on the right leg, and of course that cervical collar, as you mentioned, Benny, for precautionary. We'll check on him and try to get back to you just a moment ago. But they had pulled that ambulance down on pit road a moment ago and had the ambulance parked in the grass then so they could avoid any problems with cars coming down pit road. But this is what happened just a minute ago.
Charlie Glotzback was leaving the pits in car number 28 and passing the car number 31, and all of a sudden he sees the ambulance sitting there. He says, I better do something. He goes out on the grass, passes the ambulance you see coming up, passes it on the right side, and almost loses the car as he hits the pavement again. I'll tell you, Jerry, a lesser driver would have lost that car right there, but Charlie Glotzback saved it, and as we get ready to restart here momentarily, he's running in 4th place.
Well, we're still under caution here as the safety car has the field in tow in Talladega. It's been an exciting afternoon. A lot more excitement to come your way. Stay tuned. Talladega Superspeedway, Pontiac safety car is the field in tow. They will go to green this time. Double file restart. Jimmy Horton showing the way. We are showing 7 cars in the lead lap. Horton is the leader in the car number 80. 33-year-old driver from New Jersey in his Pontiac. Having won at Daytona, he won at Atlanta. Like to make it 3 speedways in a row here in the 1990 season.
Jerry, a couple of cars that we have seen up on the screen during the afternoon up towards the front. Carl Muscotton is out of the race. He pulled his car into the garage area during this caution out of the race, and so is the car number 99 of Donnie Moran. He is pulled in behind the wall, and of course Clay Young out of the race in car number 5.
That's number 85, back to green flag racing. The black car you see following Horton down the turn 1 is the car number 29. That's defending series champion Bob Keselowski. Keselowski driving a Chevrolet Beretta. And of course, Horton in a Pontiac. Third place car, the white machine there of Billy Thomas, and now Thomas runs low and just gives Keselowski a shot in the rear end.
Yes, he did. He came up on him quicker than he expected to, I think, Jerry. And here comes Charlie Glotzback, being followed by Tracy Leslie in car number 72.
Talladega drafting at its finest as Glotzback and Leslie hooked up in a Chevrolet and Oldsmobile duo to try to reel in, and now they have indeed caught Jimmy Horton, the lead car.
Okay, now, so Horton did not take on tires. Charlie Glotzback did take on tires. I think this is going to help Glotzback here just after the green flag comes out. We'll see if he's able to move around.
Jimmy Horton has been strong throughout the afternoon. Glotzback, remember, has not won an ARCA event since the 70s. Glotzback was our pole sitter here today, qualifying over 194 miles an hour in the Chevrolet Luna, prepared by Cecil Gordon and the crew. So it's Horton the leader, Glotzback the car number 28, Detroit Gaskets orange car, and now they will move to the inside, trying to get enough room, and not quite, and Leslie slides high in turn 3, trying to get his car from running into the rear of Glotzback.
He had to drive that car up there for that very reason. To keep from running over Charlie Glotzback, he just had to turn him right as he went into that turn. Did a great job of saving him.
And someone has lit a fire under Billy Thomas. He is really in the lead for 3 cars. That's the white car, the 4th car, the picture car number 22, Billy Thomas, 37-year-old Phoenix City, Alabama driver. And he is currently being shown in the 4th spot. Great effort by Thomas in a rented race car. Car they picked up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on Tuesday this week and had about 2 days to build the car. Here's Keselowski in for an unscheduled stop.
And he was in 2nd place not long ago. Of course, we saw him slow as he came off of turn 2 over there and was almost run over.
He may have had a tire going down that, which could happen, I guess, under caution. He can run over some debris occasionally, and so when he jumped in the throttle and nothing out of turn 2, and what a tough break for the reigning ARCA Series champion.
Yes, with the inner tires they use on the super speedways, you would not know if you had a flat tire during the caution period. Until you get up to speed, you wouldn't know that. Now he's coming out of the pits, and here comes the leader, so he's going to go a lap down.
Tough play for Bob Keselowski. Glotzback now looking to the inside. A lot of strength now to Jimmy Horton. A lot of people said at Daytona that the Pontiac's body style was a little bit of a disadvantage on the super speedways because they just haven't run that well sometimes in the Winston Cup race, but not here today. Horton really showing a lot of muscle in his Pontiac up front.
That car has been strong all day long. And it's still amazing, Jerry, that he is still running that good. That car will stick down on the bottom of the racetrack, and he still has on the same tires that he had when he started the race. Tribute to Hooten.
Great job by Bob Newton and company to get that car running well and to get that kind of great tire wear.
I thought that Charlie Glotzback might be able to move around him here in the early going with Glotzback having on new tires, but so far he hasn't been able to do much with it. Billy Thomas beginning to lose just a little bit. He's the white car. Of course, you're watching the front 3 cars glued together. Thomas has dropped back. You can see a little bit of an interval there. Thomas in the white car. About to lose the draft. He's really going to have to work hard to get back up there with those fellas.
Still has to be the best run for Billy Thomas's career. His best speedway finish 15th in Atlanta last year. And he's been running in the top 5 here all day. But those are the 3 cars they are chasing now. Billy Thomas's car about 3 car lengths back in 4th spot.
There's been a number of drivers that have had problems here in the race today. Now Billy Thomas has caught back up to the lead draft as Glotzback going to try to make a move on the outside. Jimmy Horton holds it low on the inside, but Horton moves back up into the groove and holds on to the front position.
Jimmy Horton could set an ARCA Series record here if he were able to win today. Hold off and win. Having won 2 consecutive Speedway events, he'd make it 3 Speedways, and no one has done that. A lot of drivers have won 2, but no one in ARCA history has won 3. Likewise, Tracy Leslie in the orange car there, having won back-to-back at Talladega. Could join the likes of Buddy Baker and Davey Allison, the late Grant Adcox, is the only driver to win 3 consecutive races at the same racetrack.
Here are the 5th and 6th place cars. That's Jeff Purvis in the yellow car number 15 and Mark Gibson in car number 59. They are about 4 seconds behind the front pack of 4 cars. They're running 5th and 6th.
Purvis trying to get some speedway experience after his Winston Cup debut a week ago at Martinsville, Virginia in the Bobby Allison car, and certainly has to impress a lot of people today with his savvy on the super speedways.
He has done a good job.
Back up front. Again, it's Pontiac, Chevrolet, and Oldsmobile. For Horton, Glotzback, Leslie.
Billy Thomas now beginning to lose that gap again, Jerry. He'll pick back up. He's running in 4th place in the white car. He now is losing the draft again. Those three will be gone from him in a moment if he isn't careful. And they might not be a great deal he can do about it.
Charlie Glotzback is content to ride single file. I'm still very impressed with the way Jimmy Horton's car is handling. He keeps the car in that bottom groove here on the racetrack, and the car seems to stick pretty well for him.
It sticks very well. Wherever he wants to put the car, when he catches lap traffic, he's able to move around whichever side he needs to, and the car is working great for him.
Let's check into the pits. Benny Parsons is caught up with one of the Speedway officials checking up on the injury on pit road. Benny?
Jerry, this is Larry Beluski with the Speedway. What's the latest on Chris Young?
Well, Chris Young, who is Clay's son, will be transported to Regional Medical Center in Anniston. The initial diagnosis, Benny, is that he has compound fractures and his right leg, probably both the fibula and tibia are fractured, and they'll confirm that and work on it when he gets over to Anniston.
It's basically the right leg. Both bones are broken in the right leg, and they're going to go to Anniston for more studies before they can give us anything else.
That's exactly right, Benny.
Thank you, Benny. A tough break for Chris Young. Of course, the fibula, the small bone in the lower leg, the tibia, primarily the weight-bearing bone, and a tough break for Chris Young. I'm sure he'll get great care over there in Anniston. Well, whoa, they nearly touched sheet metal at over 190 miles an hour, Ned, and looks like Glotzback is tired of waiting.
Yes, he has made a move, taken the lead, and here comes Tracy Leslie trying to take over the second position, but is he going to be able to do it? Depends on who picks up the draft of Glotzback, and looks like Horton is going to be able to stay in there in second place.
Boy, Charlie just says, don't forget the right. Makes the move and says, see ya. Strong motor in the Chevrolet. Let's take a look again as the cars nearly came together up in the bank.
That was coming off of turn 4. Glotzback on the inside in the black car, Jimmy Horton up on the outside. And you can see how close they came together. I don't think they actually touched before I'll tell you, when they get that close together, it felt to them like they touched because the air was compressed so tightly between them that it felt to them like they actually touched.
Right? They probably had a good 4 inches then.
Yeah.
Charlie Glotzback showing the way. Let's check in one more time with Clay Young, the driver of the car that had trouble on pit road. Benny?
Jerry, this is Clay Young from Smyrna, Georgia. Clay, I know you've had crashes before, but this has to be the worst crash of your life.
Yeah, it was my son. He's got a broke leg, but I think they'll put it together. I think it's going to be okay. We've been in the hospital with him, and you know, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah.
Have you talked to Chris?
Yeah, I was in there with him a few minutes ago, and he's hurting, but you know, he still loves me. That's what counts.
He said, "Daddy, I love you," right? Greatest words his man's ever heard.
Could have been a whole lot worse than Clay Young, really hurting inside. He was not physically injured, but of course trying to get the car stopped in front. His Pontiac intact, the pit wall, and his son, Chris Young, suffering a fracture of his right leg, being shipped now to a hospital in Anniston, Alabama. Laps are winding down here at Talladega Superspeedway. Charging Charlie Glotzback, trying to pick up his first ARCA win in almost a decade and a half. Showing the way here in the beautiful Talladega Forest here at Talladega Superspeedway. Stay tuned. At over 190 miles per hour, great ARCA competition. It's the 4th stop of the year here for the ARCA Permatex SuperCar Series. It'll be 20 laps to go this time by. And Sergeant Charlie Glotzback, the veteran super speedway driver, he has 2 super speedway wins to his credit in NASCAR competition. The last time he settled a pole in an ARCA race, well, it's been a few years for Glotzback. Way at North Carolina Motor Speedway back in June of 1973, and he went on to win that one in ARCA racing. Glotzback showing the way. Jimmy Horton in 2nd spot, and Tracy Leslie is 3rd.
And in 4th place is Billy Thomas. Jeff Purvis is 5th, and Mark Gibson 6th. Only 6 cars on the lead lap.
Couple interesting stories here. We talked about some of the Chrysler involvement, and the fellow who won the last ARCA race just a few weeks ago up on the short tracks, a 3/8 mile paved facility, the Killcare Icebreaker 125 up in Xenia, Ohio. That man right there, Jerry Churchill, driving the car number 11. Churchill, that car prepared by Norman Negree, and it's a Chrysler, Ned.
Yes, it is. Of course, the engine built by Joey Arrington, as you mentioned earlier, and he's running in 11th position, 1 lap behind the leader, so Jerry having a good run here tonight.
Gary Churchill, a veteran driver here in ARCA competition, 51 years of age. He destroyed his Superspeedway car a few weeks ago in Atlanta. This is a brand new race car he has here, and certainly running awfully well. Picked up the first win ever, I think, in ARCA. First win in a long time, I should say, for the Mopar products up at Kilcare Speedway.
And this is a race for position. The car number 11 of Jerry Churchill and the car number 67 of Bobby Massey as they battle for the 8th and 9th position.
There's Bobby Massey in the white car, Churchill down on the inside of the racetrack.
We gave you the 6 that are running in the lead lap. In 7th position, 1 lap down, is car number 19, Chris Gerke. And then, of course, the car number 11, now running in 8th position, Jerry Churchill. And 9th is the car number 67 of Bobby Massey. In 10th place is Bob Keselowski in car number 29. 11th is car number 55, being driven by John Alexander. And 12th position, also 1 lap down, is car number 77, Don LeDuc.
Good run for Bobby Massey in the car number 67. He finished 12th in Atlanta here just a few weeks ago. He's a defending track champion at one of the short tracks nearby, the BIR, Birmingham International Raceway. So he has certainly run the short tracks for many years and showing that he too has a little super speedway truck. Back up front, traffic there. The car number 9 being passed. That is the efforts of Bernie Robidart. Moving by, Glotzback has made it by, but about a 5-car length separation now back to Tracy Leslie in 2nd spot, and Leslie has also gained a little ground on Jimmy Horton's car.
Yeah, this is about the biggest lead we've seen anyone have all afternoon, Jerry, other than when they made pit stops.
Let's take a look and see what happened to separate the lead cars here, Ned.
Okay, you can see Charlie Glotzback as they get into traffic. They're the car number 9. Leslie and Jimmy Horton both had to slow as they passed Bernie Robidart in the car number 9, and that allowed Glotzback to move away a little bit.
And they are tiptoeing here a little bit, remembering that there are a lot of drivers here with very, very little super speedway experience. But it's been an extremely clean race here on the racetrack.
Yeah, it really has been. We've had some very good close racing, but yet it has been clean out on the racetrack before it into major wrecks. And here's Tracy Leslie trying to move around. Glotzback on the outside.
Leslie showing a lot of strength in his Oldsmobile as Glotzback on the bottom of the racetrack, and Glotzback's car not really, well, now he gets back up to speed. It looked like he was dropping off a little bit going into turn 1.
It really did. I thought something was wrong with it for a moment, and it might be. He wiggled a little bit there, Jerry. Might have a tire going down.
We're on a record average speed pace at over 150, almost 151 miles an hour. Charlie Glotzback's car not handling like he would like it to. Here's Billy Thomas trying to reel him in the Phoenix Construction Chevrolet. And Leslie has pulled away some 5 car lengths, and Glotzback still on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yes, as they race side by side, that lets Leslie pull away, and it also, wow, Glotzback's car is very definitely loose. And you can see Billy Thomas coming into the picture. He had dropped back, but with them running side by side, that helped him catch up. Now Glotzback drops back behind Jimmy Horton, but I believe he has a power going down or something has happened to his Chevrolet.
I'm sure Cecil Gordon and the crew in the pits have got to be concerned now about possibly maybe hoping for a yellow flag and getting a chance to get Glotzback in and put some fresh rubber on that car. 15 laps to go. That time by. Laps winding down here in this 500-kilometer event. And they are really dicing it up in the back straightaway, using all 5 lanes, the high-speed drafting conga line here at Talladega Superspeedway. Tracy Leslie showing the way. Let's check in down in the Glotzback pits with Benny Parsons.
Jerry, I'm with Cecil Gordon. Has Charlie said anything?
No, he hadn't said a word the last several laps here, so we'll just have to wait and see what he's got planned.
But you are clocking him. Is he slowing down?
Just a little bit, but I don't think he hasn't said nothing, so I'm just going to wait and see what he says.
I guess no news is good news.
He's probably holding his breath, Benny Parsons, the way that car's been wiggling now, and he goes way up high on the racetrack here in the banking, but he hangs on, showing the veteran driving ability that he has. A lesser driver might have lost it there. Glotzback doing one whale of a job. Laps are winding down here at Talladega Superspeedway in the ARCA 500-kilometer event. Tracy Leslie showing the way, but can he hold off Horton and Glotzback? We'll see when we come back. Superspeedway. Tracy Leslie trying to make it 3 in a row, setting a record. Actually, he would tie the record of Buddy Baker, Davey Allison, and the late Brad Hancock, winning 3 races in a row on a Superspeedway. But he will have to outduel the likes of Charlie Glotzback in the black car and a fellow who's been strong all afternoon, Jimmy Horton in the Pontiac.
Well, Glotzback shows strength again now, Jerry, after the car wiggling a few times and going high in the banking. It seems to be going okay now. So maybe just hit a little spot of something that caused brake traction, and I'll tell you, that'll cause you to get a little nervous for a little bit to ease up on the accelerator, but once you run a lap and do and everything goes okay, well, you say, hey, it's okay. Let me just go ahead and put the foot back down and charge on back up there.
Billy Thomas has reeled in the lead car. Now he's the first car in the lead draft, the white car, his Chevrolet. You mentioned Thomas has not taken better than 15th on the Superspeedways, although he does have a pole to his credit back in Atlanta last year.
No, he had dropped back about, I don't know, a second or so behind those cars, which would have been at least 100 yards or maybe a little more. But he ran about that distance behind very impressively, Jerry, running by himself. But then when they started racing a little bit amongst themselves up front there, it allowed him to catch up. So he had a strong offense.
Tracy Leslie trying to hold on. Car number 80 of Jimmy Horton. There are 6 cars on the lead lap. We mentioned those front 4 cars, and these 2 cars running in the 5th and 6th spot. Current car number 59, our point leader, Mark Gibson. And of course, car number 15, that's the Jeff Purvis machine.
So they continue to have a good battle there for 5th and 6th as that battle goes on up front of the top 4 cars. Leslie out front, Jimmy Horton running second. He might be content to run there for a while, Jerry. Not use his tires too much. Glotzback not making any major threats right now.
Got to wonder what the strategy might be. Is now Glotzback, he's not going to wonder very long. He makes the move to the inside in turn 3, and he is on the bottom of the racetrack. His car really bobbling a little bit down there. The car getting very loose on it.
Yes, it is a little loose when he gets down there. I reckon he heard me say that he's not a major threat right now, making no major moves.
Well, let's check it and poll Benny Parsons. Benny, what do you think?
Well, Jerry, I went down and talked to the Jimmy Horton crew, and I said, how's things going? They said, we're exactly where we need to be. So they think the strategy is running second, but I see Glotzback trying to get inside of him, going down in turn 1.
And he's trying, but Horton holds him off. Horton has a lot of horsepower, and Glotzback's car now slides up 1 or 2 grooves coming out of turn 2. Laps are winding down.
10 to go.
10 laps to go. That time by. A lot of racing action yet to come your way. We haven't settled it yet here at Talladega. We will when we come back after this. 10 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. It will be a shootout now, a trophy dash. 4 cars up front, but then a few car lengths, primarily 3 now as they pull away from the Billy Thomas car. Tracy Leslie being shown as the leader. The Detroit Gaskets, bumper to bumper Oldsmobile. That's the orange car for Leslie. Then comes the car number 80, Jimmy Horton, the veteran Hamilton, New Jersey dirt track ace from the modified ranks. And charging Charlie Glotzback. He is the black car. He's been having a little bit of a handling trouble on the car, getting the car inside, but he is still holding his own with a very, very strong run on the straightaway.
The car is strong on the straightaways, and you can see it drifting a little high in the turn, so I believe the chassis is a little bit loose on that car, Jerry, which makes it tough for him to pass in the draft.
Just moments ago, Benny Parsons talked to the crew chief down in the Horton pits. He was talking to Jerry Stevens and was told that they're exactly where they want to be. Ned, how about this last lap? Is that the place to be with the restrictor plate, still be running second?
I don't know. We've seen so many times since NASCAR instituted the restrictor plates in Western Cup competition that the place was to be was in the lead. But 2 cars working together now, Glotzback should try to use the car number 80 of Horton to try to draft past the car number 72. Then it might make it, he might be a sitting duck up there. But it depends on whether they work together, not the second and third place cars.
Laps winding down, just 8 to go here. Sometimes some of the hand signals really come into play. The driver may wave and try to motion and get a little bit of a help from someone. Maybe get a dancing partner and get some drafting assistance.
Well, now Horton's trying to draft real close on Leslie and pull away from Glotzback. That's what he would like to do, and be by himself on the last lap and just see what he could do.
Might mention again, these cars do have a 1-inch restrictor plate. The Winston Cup cars that run at Daytona and Talladega run a 15/16 of an inch, a little bit smaller in weight. These cars do not have the throttle response as you would see on some of the other tracks, so therefore drafting is critical.
So far, Horton has not made any move to try to move around. He hasn't even tested it. Maybe he knows what he can do. Well, now maybe he's going to test it. He's dipped down there for a little bit, but he said, I'm content just running here for the moment.
Tracy Leslie showing the way. He changed color schemes. He had the green cars, the green and black and blue cars of the year ago. They were Pontiac. This year they're orange and they're Oldsmobiles. But he is being pursued by a very, very strong blue and yellow Pontiac. That's the Jimmy Horton car.
Jerry, these three cars have driven away by 2 or 3 seconds from Billy Thomas, who is running in the 4th position. Still running 5th is Jeff Purvis, and 6th is Mark Gibson.
We're going to run into some traffic here very soon. The lead cars running by some of the slower cars now. Lap traffic could be very critical here, and I'm sure that's probably why Horton would like to stay as close to Leslie as possible.
Yes, he would like to stay very close to it, not lose the draft, because he can see that Glotzback's car doesn't appear to be working too well when they get to traffic, and he knows if he can stay right on the back of Leslie, that would help him.
A single hand. Indeed it would. They had a single handful of laps left to go here. 5 laps remain. 5 to go. Tracy Leslie, who won both events here a year ago.
Now there, they just put another lap on Jerry Churchill in the car number 11, who has dropped back to 11th position. We saw him a little while ago. He was running in 8th position. He's dropped back a little bit.
Pretty heavy traffic now in front of Leslie. Squeezes up by one car, the 06 car, just getting by Mike Oliver.
3 abreast there for a moment. That had to be an anxious moment for Jimmy Horton.
And that's the Bob Reed, that car that spun earlier, produced the first caution flag of the day. They go by his machine. It's back in racing action.
But this is one of the widest racetracks they race on. And of course, the high banks will permit you to go that 3 wide, but it looks a little scary even so. Here is the car number 15 of Jeff Purvis, who is running in the 15th position. The yellow car still being drafted by Mark Gibson, the ARCA point leader, running in 6th place.
Those are the last 2 cars on the lead lap. Purvis is 5th. That's the orange car, number 15. Of course, Mark Gibson, who is the current point leader, is 6th. Battle wages up front. A couple of drivers who have super speedway experience. Actually, 3 drivers. We know Glotzback is a veteran of the speedways. Jimmy Horton has run a number of Winston Cup races and will try to run some of the Winston Cup shows this year. In fact, last year, Tracy Leslie ran a couple of Winston Cup races, driving the car owned by A.J. Foyt. Many people believe that possibly that's the reason that Tracy Leslie changed his car color to that orange. He would like, he certainly has been for many, many years a fan of the veteran 4-time Indy 500 winner A.J. Foyt.
And Jerry, I think his performance here at the Talladega Superspeedway, winning the last 2 races here, was one reason that he got to drive the A.J. Foyt car.
He drove Foyt's car in Michigan and Charlotte a year ago and had a chance to drive the Dunleavy car late in the year. They could not make the field. They had some rain, and it rained out qualifying in Atlanta, but he certainly is impressing a lot of people now. 3 laps to go. It'll be 2 this time by. Tracy Leslie, the 1988 ARCA Permatex Series national champion, showing the way, trying to make it 3 in a row at Talladega. Jimmy Horton would like to make it 3 super speedway wins in a row for 1990, and Charlie Glotzback would just like to get in the win column for the first time in over a decade.
It could be either of these 3 cars.
Gotta wonder what's going through the mind of Jimmy Horton now. He knows he's got a veteran driver, Glotzback, behind him. If Glotzback has any rubber on the car at all, look down on the inside, making him way down low, I guess trying to break that draft.
That's exactly what he was trying to do, but it didn't work for him. In fact, it cost him, Jerry, because when he broke the draft, it slowed him down. The other 2 cars continued to draft together. Glotzback goes very high. Are they going to try 3 abreast off of turn 4?
3 wide, turn 4. Horton in the middle. Leslie on the inside. Glotzback thinking better of it. Falls back in line. And where will Glotzback line up? This could determine who will win it. Wide flag. They come down this time from Harold Kinder. Coming down toward turn 1. Jimmy Horton has him on a separation, and that could have been a costly move for Tracy Leslie.
Yes, it could have been. When he moved the last lap on the inside to break the draft on the backstretch, that allowed them to draft together and move up on the outside of him, and now they're running 1st and 2nd, and he's running 3rd.
33-year-old Jimmy Horton trying to hold off in the battle back here for the car number 15. That's the 5th place battle going on. Jeff Purvis and Mark Gibson, those two cars battling back in the pack. Jimmy Horton now, final lap, trying to hold off. Here comes Leslie making a charge on the inside of the track. Glotzback slides up high. The battle now for second spot.
And this is going to help Jimmy Horton as they race side by side for second spot. That will help Jimmy Horton perhaps to win this race.
Side by side, they come down. Jimmy Horton coming by, and he will hang on to win it here at Talladega with the battle for second spot. And
Wow, that was close, but I believe Tracy Leslie got the spot, but it was close. I'm sure that the finish line camera had to pick it up.
And the battle back for the 5th spot. Jeff Purvis trying to hold off Mark Gibson, the car number 15 and left side of your screen, and Gibson. They have yet to come by and take the checkered flag. Mark Gibson, the current point leader, about a 5-car length separation there.
Yeah, they were running about 3/4 of a lap behind the front runners, Jerry, who have already taken the checkered flag. And this is the battle for 5th position, and it looks like Jeff Purvis is going to be able to hold it off. Hold off Mark Gibson and take the spot.
Jeff Purvis getting what we call an ARCA education today. He certainly has to impress a lot of people after getting his first Winston Cup start a week ago. Well, the jubilation continues there for the Jimmy Horton crew on pit road. Let's check in with Benny Parsons.
Jerry, 3 in a row. 3 in a row. How about that? 3 supers with the ARCA car with Jimmy Horton. You can't get no better than that.
You told me a little bit ago you were in a perfect spot. It looked to be the perfect place.
Well, Jimmy said, I said, can you pass Tracy? And he says, I think I can. I said, well, I'd pass him, but you do what you want.
Wait, you think you can? He should have said, I know I can.
Well, we don't like to let those guys down there listening on the other radios know what we're doing.
I got you. Thank you, Jerry.
You know that.
Gary Stevens, a big smile now, and they have won it here at Talladega for the ARCA 500-kilometer Permatex Series event. Let's take a look at this last lap, Ned.
Well, Jimmy Horton out front was in good position once they started racing for second position. Tracy Leslie on the inside as Horton comes across the start-finish line. Who finishes second? Well, it was awfully close. It looked like that Leslie might have gotten Glotzback just at the line.
Jimmy Horton becomes the first driver in the modern era of ARCA racing to win 3 Superspeedway races in a row. Jimmy Horton getting congratulated in victory lane. We'll be back in a moment. Back at Talladega Superspeedway, there have been 4 ARCA events to date, and 3 of them have been won by Jimmy Horton. That's a great effort here today in 500 kilometers of racing for the ARCA cars. Lane, let's check in with the Sears Road Handler Winner's Circle interview. Our Benny Parsons.
Jimmy Horton, 3 in a row, 3 out of 4 for this year.
Well, it's great. You know, the car's working real good. The crew's working good. You know, Ruggles Motor and Hoosier Tires. You know, what else can I ask for? It's put me up front. And, you know, this was the best race. You know, we had to work for it. And first time I ever been in that last lap predicament. And I was looking for you to tell me how to do it.
Hey, I don't know how to do it down here. I never could figure it out. Looks like you got it pretty well figured out. Were you concerned about Tracy and Charlie there at the end?
I was real concerned about Charlie. He's been there before, and you know, he was working me over from behind, and you know, I was just hoping I could stay in second and him follow me along. But Tracy gave me that open backstretch there, and I hoped Charlie would follow me, and he did. And them 2 started racing, and it just kept me out front.
You're just hoping that somebody sees all these ARCA wins and backs a Jimmy Horton in Winston Cup racing, right?
That's what we're trying. We're still trying in Winston Cup too, and you know, we had a coil go bad yesterday in qualifying and put us out, but you know, we're going to keep plugging. We're going to be at Charlotte and Winston Open, so we're going to keep at it.
Jerry, here's a guy trying to use the springboard to Winston Cup racing.
We saw at the beginning of the show, Benny, you did it, and so a lot of other drivers have been very successful. Jimmy Horton takes the win here at Talladega with Tracy Leslie, Glotzback, Thomas, and Purvis in the top 5. Permatex 500-kilometer event is history. We take a look at the top 20 finishers. And Ned Jarrett, you talk about an ARCA education. I think Tracy Leslie may have caught one on that last lap.
Yes, he really did. He made the mistake, in my opinion, of moving down to the inside and allowing the car number 80 of Jimmy Horton and Charlie Glotzback to move by on the outside.
Coming your way Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Again, our congratulations. A new track record here for Jimmy Horton. Over 155.913 miles per hour. Horton celebrates in victory lane, taking the kisses and the accolades in the Miles Concrete Pontiac. Jimmy Horton winning 3 of the first 4 starts of the year. For Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett, I'm Jerry Budd saying so long from Talladega.